Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Scroll Soup. I'm Blake.
I'm Kieran.
And I'm Mason.
That was a very palatable delay there.
Very, very spacious. Gives everyone time to take us in,
Yeah.
And today, because we thought that the Bethesda showcase is coming up with Xbox, so we thought we're going to save our real discussions for when that comes out. So we're being lazy and we're going to do another tier list.
Because they are incredibly fun and easy to do.
And it means we can
Very true.
argue, which is always more fun to hear.
Yeah.
So today, we're doing the mobs and sort of enemies you come across in the games. And
Yes.
I think most of the things on here can be found in most games, but there's a couple we've got that are specific to certain games because they're so annoying or so good.
Yeah.
Does anyone else want to start us off?
Yeah, I'll lead us in with which obviously came first on our list as one of the most divisive enemies in the Elder Scrolls series, I think. And that of course is the Cliff Racer.
Oh,
Little flappy boys from Vardenfell.
I still get anxiety whenever I hear their fucking voices.
Yeah.
Oh my
I've been thinking about setting my phone notification noise to a Cliff Racer shriek, so it'll always get my attention.
Why do you
I'm
hate
just putting
yourself?
it now. No discussion needed. F tier for me. All right. I'm putting it down now.
At its core, it is an F tier, but at the same time, it really encourages you in game to just learn to look up and be careful of your surroundings. And they're really good for levitation potions using their plumes, but
That's
they
true.
are the most annoying enemy. So annoying that they wrote them out of the lore after the game came out. After Saint Geob purged them all
Yeah.
out of Vardenfell. Oh,
Well, the thing is, I think I don't think they're too bad. Like obviously they're annoying, but they go down one or two hits.
in fairness, but when you're like level 2
Yeah,
and these
yeah,
things come across,
and your agility is low and you can't hit them.
you've got to take a potion, you've got to waste stuff. You then got to
Yeah.
rest afterwards, and guess what? When you rest, the Dark Brotherhood bandit hits you.
Yep.
It's the worst.
And you got to think like these are a very early game enemy. And when
Yeah.
people like first getting into Morrowind, like they're not gonna know the controls. They're just gonna be slapping around like whatever sword they got, not understanding the proper timing you need for the game. And so then when
Yeah.
you've got these things flying around you every like 5 seconds, getting a new one, you just gotta like sit there, wrongly fighted for what can be like a good 5 minutes, finally kill it. Then you go like 7 steps and there's another one right in your face.
The worst thing is that even in the final area of the game, when you're on Ash Mount, the Red Mountain, there's that in the ash everywhere. There's
Inside the
still
ghost
cliff
fence.
racers there,
Yeah.
and guess what? You can't see anything. You can't see them coming because it's all cloudy and red. And
The
just these
true
cliff racers
villains.
come out of nowhere.
They're the true villains of Morrowind, I think.
They are. I think they're simultaneously F and S tier. But I
If
think I'm gonna have to
Dagothor
go F.
If Dagothor came up to my character at the end of the game and said, "Look, we're gonna kill all the cliff racers," I'd be right on his team straight away.
You and I are not so different.
The game would have ended very differently if that was the case. So yeah, I think I'll have to agree. They are kind of F tier.
One thing I will say, I like to imagine that. So Geob was obviously a prisoner. I like to imagine that you kill so many in your travels, you actually start to extinct the population, and Geob just takes credit. Like, yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
I killed the cliff racers. It was me. Not that they're ever there. No.
Yeah, of course, Nerevarine has already gone off to Akavir or wherever on their
Yeah,
adventures.
he's
So,
left.
so he's not there to argue with them about that. So,
Yeah.
it's a perfect opportunity, really.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So definite F tier.
Yep. F tier.
Brilliant.
Hate them.
Right. So cliff racers.
Yep.
Are in F tier.
So next we have trolls.
And
One
not
of the
the
most
internet
hardest enemies. In Skyrim, I think we'll all remember when we first played it. I was rank 10. I was going up High Hrothgar, and that frost troll comes down. I'm like, oh, a cool enemy. Immediately kills me in like 2 hits.
Yeah, I don't
Unbeatable.
think it's I don't think it's a thing where a lot of people will argue they're very difficult in Skyrim, but in other games, like they're actually not so bad in Oblivion because of the
No.
leveling system. Unless you're level 21 and then everything's difficult because
Oh,
the
they look
balance
so
goes.
disgusting in
I
Oblivion.
mean, yeah.
They do, they do. I love the painted ones though, and the one mission with the
Yeah.
what you call it, the magic paintbrush one.
Well, I honestly think they're kind of cool, just from like a monster
Oh,
design perspective, of just like instead of being like your usual troll, just like big and green, they're like weird, almost like apes, almost with like 5 eyes and like. It's a cool
Yeah,
design in my opinion.
I
It's
love
just like
them. They're hard, but I
monster
love them.
gorillas.
Yeah. But there's that one you can find in Skyrim that's hiding under the bridge. You know, I
yeah.
love that. I love little bits like that.
Or
Let's
the
not forget
depressed suicide troll in Oblivion.
the Dawn
Oh,
Guard like armored
Oh,
trolls
armored
that they have.
trolls, yeah. Which are just the coolest things to fight vampires with. Can we just be
Mm.
honest?
yeah. And I have to say, I see them killing dragons all the time in Sky. Like,
Yeah.
you'll be running away from a troll, a dragon will attack. Oh, I'll leave them to it. The troll plants the dragon. Like, oh my word.
They're just like they're a
Yeah.
very versatile monsters because it feels like you can just plop a variant of them in any like region.
Yeah, like you got your frost trolls, your regular trolls. Like it's not going too far afield to say, oh, here's a swamp troll, or here's a desert troll, or here's some sort of weird aquatic troll.
Oh, imagine in the next game we get rock trolls. Like, they hide,
Oh,
blend in with the background, and then come out on you.
yeah,
Oh,
I want like the desert trolls or sand trolls where they burst out of the ground,
yeah, that'd be
right
cool.
out of the sand.
I'll need to wear a nappy when we play them games then, because I'll
Yeah.
just shit myself. I'll possibly get so scared.
Yeah, jump scares are very fun.
Fun, but not when it's a troll.
Yeah, right. I'm
I,
thinking A tier for them. Like by far, they're probably one of the best choices
one of
for
the
A
few
tier.
things that actually scares me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd agree.
they're a scary enemy to come up against, and you know they're not like your typical fairy tale troll as well. They're
Mm.
a little bit different. They're like a semi-sentient animal, like you said, Mason, like a gorilla or something. Well, of course,
Mm.
gorillas are pretty much sentient by our definition, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd vote
So
A as well.
I'll agree with you.
yeah,
They're fantastic.
right. So next on the old agenda,
Oh, I think I mentioned them before. Dragons.
Flappy Boys.
For me,
2.0.
dragons are a solid A or S. They're a bit easy at times, but everyone remembers the first dragon fight on the
Yeah.
Western Watchtower. They're so fun to fight, especially when you climb. Like, one thing I like doing in Skyrim is just walking in a random direction, then seeing what I find. I'll walk up a mountain, then I'll find, oh, a word of power, and there's a dragon on top of it. And then I fight the dragon, and I just feel so cool. I feel like a Viking. I feel like Beowulf, and it's just like absolutely so much fun fighting these things.
Yeah,
And, like, you got to
they're
find
one of
cover, you got to
those.
go into huts and stuff, and it's just it's brilliant.
They have a similar thing going from like the Trolls Zoo, where they're a typical like fantasy thing, and they're just executed so well in the Elder Scrolls, I think. And even like in Elder Scrolls Online, you've got the like elsewhere DLCs like dragon stuff going on there, and
Massive.
even in older games like in Daggerfall, you can meet a dragon briefly. They're
Plus,
like
and
a familiar.
if you count it, Oblivion at the end.
Yeah, yeah, but
Spirit
that's
Hackathon.
an avatar.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly the same thing. It's more like an apparition. And I
Speaking
suppose
of,
in Redguard you meet one as well.
speaking of that elsewhere DLC, like the actual build up to find them is actually pretty cool. Because you just
Yeah,
go there, it's like, oh, we wonder what's inside this. It's like sealed away a bunch of demons, and then like when they actually open it, you're still wondering what the hell is going to be in there. And then all of a sudden it's just actual dragons, and then they're all spewing out into the sky. It's really
yeah,
well put together.
yeah. I need to play more ESO. It's been quite fun so far, to be honest. But it's hard to get into when you don't have a group going into it. But
Yeah, fortunately, we're all Final
Final
Fantasy
Fantasies,
fans.
yeah. Um, But yeah, definitely, yeah, degenerate. You just play it for the
Degenerate
short
Final Fantasy
stacks.
fans.
Um,
We play it for the other Dragon DLC. Everything has Dragon DLCs.
everything does.
Skyrim's dragons are great because they're not a DLC.
Yeah, they're just
The
they
actual
are
game.
Just
part
the
of the
base
game.
game.
And when you get into the lore of dragons as well, they aren't like monsters or anything like we know. They're in some ways on the same tier as like a lesser Daedra. Like
Yeah.
each dragon itself is a like demigod, or when you get to Alduin, literally a god. So
He's the messiah of dragons.
yeah, he is literally just another version of the Akatosh Oriel like triad. You know, he's the end of time, whereas like Oriel is the beginning, or that kind of thing. Now, I've got a nice theory that I'd like to put out in like a standalone video sometime about Akatosh in general, but yeah,
We'll save that for another video.
we'll save that for another time. Yeah,
You can also just go like the cool factor of like their breath attacks aren't actual breath. It's like them using the foom, the words of
yeah,
power.
They're shouting swear words at you.
yeah.
Yeah. So like a battle between dragons would just be like a debate.
That's
Don't
what
ask-
I've
don't
never
ask
seen
what
two
the,
dragons fighting in Skyrim.
yeah.
It's a rare occurrence, but you can see two dragons arguing with each other.
Having a very verbose argument. You'd never ask a dragon what the the Thuum word for black is. You'll get a very unpleasant surprise.
Oh no.
Oh, God.
But even as like the Dragonborn, the Dovahkiin, like using the foom against him, you're basically just convincing them why they should die.
Pretty much, yeah.
You can bully them to death.
You make a very compelling argument, sir, and just die.
Sticks and stones, they won't hurt my bones. Words will hurt me though.
Words will hurt.
So, are we thinking A or S? The dragons.
I'm
thinking
thinking S.
Fair enough. I think
Yeah.
we'll go S for them. They're just so fantastic, even if technically they're wyverns. But I don't care.
Well, no, a wyvern is just a type of dragon, like the way
I
a
know.
cockatrice is a type of dragon. You know,
I know, but it's
So-
still I don't really care. Just I thought it was funny when someone pointed out that they don't have feet, their arms. They just
Yeah.
want to-
look, I never thought about that because I was like, well, a wyvern is just a dragon, so I'll get over it.
Yeah.
Um,
Can't wait till we see true dragons in the next Elder Scrolls.
yeah, we've seen one true dragon in the Elder Scrolls so far, in Redguard
Yeah.
of all places.
Hmm.
So next we okay, this next one was put in as a bit of a joke one. Slow.
Well, do you know what? I think dead serious, because they do make a bit of an appearance in online.
Yeah.
The Slode are the big slug boys, and they're into necromancy, all that fun stuff.
They make
I
great
think they're
soap.
really cool.
Great soap.
Yeah, really gets the grease from out under your toes.
We can't go one video without mentioning Slodes.
We can't, but they
No.
are so cool. They're really, really, really interesting.
I mean, just because they look like the average redditor doesn't mean they can't be a like actual threat.
Acne and everything. They are like a massive threat. Like they created the like Thracian plague, which like wiped out a good chunk of mainland Tamriel.
Pretty
like-
good.
Every one of them is basically just like a born psychopath. Given they, like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they hold no empathy. The only
their
emotions they feel are
children-
greed.
They just lay their spawn, let the best of the bunch come out on top. And that's how they reproduce.
But it's how we get loads of soap from them because they're not going to use the soap, are they?
Mm,
You know?
smelly bastards.
Yeah, I put them in there because, let's face it, we can't go a whole episode without talking about Slodes.
Yeah. I think they're a solid B.
I mean, solid B, yeah, 'cause we can't have them higher than that because they're not actually properly been in a mainline Elder Scrolls game. They've been in Redguard, they've been in Elder Scrolls Online, but not any of the core ones other than being mentioned.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of untapped potential that you can have with slows.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's a definite B. Next, we've got the ghosts from Morrowind and Oblivion. Stuff like Ancestor Ghosts, yeah.
Well, we
Well,
have them in
I'm
Skyrim
looking
as well,
for
of course.
Oh, I didn't realize they were in Skyrim, actually.
No, you didn't. They're just glowy blue people.
Oh, of course!
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always forget about them in Skyrim.
Yeah, because they're basically just regular enemies, but blue.
Yeah. I suppose you also kind of like the shadow people in isn't the Meridia's Beacon quest?
Yeah.
Would they sort of count as
Yeah.
ghosts as
Yeah,
well?
they're like specters.
Okay.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember them more from the other games because you'll just find them in random dungeons. Like,
Yeah,
you'll just
like
They're in the
they're. Go on.
you fight a couple in the companions quest as well, don't you? Where you're like going
Yeah.
through that
Yeah.
old tomb, you have to fight the old like companion ghosts.
Yeah.
And there's occasionally
Um.
ancient Nord ghost as well, isn't there?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, they're a very like diverse and very like useful enemy, and you can like they a lot of cool quests. Like the one quest when you're like near, is it when you're near Bruma and you can see them walking up and down the Niben River, and you like follow this ghost and it'll lead you to a shipwreck. You know, like cool stuff like that.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of cool quests. Now they are absolutely terrifying when they start like stealing your attributes.
Yes.
Mm.
I think one thing that I do like is that I think in Morrowind, I think Oblivion did this as well. You couldn't just attack them with a normal weapon.
Yeah,
You had to have something like either silver or magical.
enchanted. Yeah,
And when you're level 4 in Morrowind, going in, oh, I've got to fetch the skull from the Andrano ancestral tomb. I'll just go in there, me as a Skyrim player walking in. I've got my iron longsword, nothing else.
yeah,
I'm going there like, oh, I can't hurt anyone in here. Oh, it was awful.
yeah. They're
I
they're
love it.
very cool. I think they're definite contender for B as well.
Yes, and the fact that they're harder at earlier levels because you have to have the right equipment makes them. It gives them an extra edge. I like that. It stuff like that makes me like think more about the game and where I'm going. If someone says I've got to go to a tomb, maybe I bring silver arrows with me,
Yeah,
or make sure I have a magical weapon. I think that's quite a fun thing to have.
Good
Yeah.
variety. Yeah,
Definite
very
B.
memorable. I'd agree with
definitely.
B.
Yep.
Right, so next here we've got they're kind of lumped together because they have some similarities, even though they're different in lore. The Spriggans and the different elemental Daedra.
Atronachs, yeah.
So of course the Spriggans are fairies. They're fairy folk. They're like a hive
Yeah.
of fairies, protectors of the forest kind of thing. And the different elementals, you got all the
Fire
classics:
Atronach, Ice
fire, ice, ice
Storm.
being the hottest looks wise.
Big,
Literally big bulky chunk of ice.
I don't know. I think the flame Atronach. Give me a potion of resist fire, and I'd give a try.
You'd be cremated.
What a way to go, though. What a way to go.
Yeah, they're very cool. I like the elemental Daedra especially because they're like a typical part of any summoner kind of build you're going for, any
Yeah.
conjuration.
Yeah.
And they are scary,
They're scary to fight.
especially in Morrowind and Oblivion. They will decimate, and especially Storm Atronachs and Frost Atronachs in Skyrim. Oh my word! Like the Winterhold prison. And if you try and break out, you just get confronted by an Ice Atronach with no gear. Like, oh, great.
I mean,
Yeah,
like, just
they're-
imagine being a normal guy in, say, like, anywhere in Tamriel. All of a sudden, like, you just fighting a guy. He says some magic words. All of a sudden, there's a giant block of ice trying to kill you.
Scary. I like them.
Yeah.
I think they're great
I like
enemies.
Where we think
I feel like-
I'd say A for all of them, just because there's not one bad of the bunch.
yeah.
They're
Well,
all
the
pretty fun.
Spriggans as well. Like, even though they're not the same thing, they're also just have the same kind of versatility. But
Yes.
they're applicable to like forest areas and things.
And one thing I love about the Spriggans, especially like Morrowind as well, where they had the mechanic of like you get told in the lore before it that they live twice. So when you kill it, it comes back up, and you've got to kill it again. It's like I find that quite interesting.
Yep.
Again, it's another little niche of enemies that you got to remember when you're going out, and you're slowly learning more of the world. I really like
times
that
we've
side
teach
of
you this
Morrowind and
lesson,
Oblivion.
old man.
Right, SpongeBob posting now. We've got so many SpongeBob references now. Right,
Quota.
we've got next. So, are we agreeing? A?
Yeah, I agree. A tier, definitely.
Sure.
They're solid.
Yeah.
So I'll put that in. So next we have Hagravens. Oh, some of the missions with Hagravens.
Yeah, they're really cool. They're like the end goal of any like witch.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the Elder Scrolls,
And it's
pretty
quite
much.
scary as well. Where like a location you can go to very early on, you go to this shack full of witches, and they'll try and kill you. And you read their book, and they just want to become Hagravens, and it's just like, you want to be that? Like, oh my god.
Mhm.
And when you look at them, it's just like a strange mutation. Where it's like clawed bird-like hands and like their beaks.
It's
Yeah,
really
it's just
scary the fact that people are trying to be this. You know, it's.
Yeah, they're pretty disturbing.
Also, I remember
Um,
when I was 11 on my like second playthrough, finally fighting them, going. They always scared me whenever I'd fight them. They're dangerous enemies.
Yeah, they're very like powerful magic users as well. Like we can see in Skyrim with the Briarheart Forsworn, where they will literally take the heart out of somebody, replace it with a flower, and empower them to be a better warrior. That's like pretty intense magic right there.
I like how the Forsworn like sort of not worship them, but do like it's sort of like a
They
they make
revere
a
them.
cult around them. I
Yeah,
like that because it adds like to the world, so like that. So the Hagraven in that area are more prosperous because they have the Forsworn as well.
Yep.
In the rest of Skyrim, they're all just like maybe 3 witches in a cave, you know, proper Macbeth sort of stuff. But
Yeah,
in the Reach, is it the Reach?
yeah,
Around yeah,
Yeah.
in the Reach, they're quite threatening because they have a whole army behind them in their camp. You know, I like that.
yeah.
It makes you
They're
realize the
cool.
world a bit more.
Yeah, they're definitely a great part for world building as well.
Yeah. I know it's not an unpopular opinion, but I think the Reach is like my favorite area in
Oh, it's
Skyrim.
beautiful. It's
It is.
mountainous and
Looks nice,
craggy. Oh, I love it.
and
Waterfalls.
I love the city as well. Is it Markarth?
Morthal.
More,
More,
it's
more.
Markarth.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Markarth. Yeah, sorry.
yeah.
Mortal is this.
That's why I was a bit confused saying it because so
Yeah,
many cities have similar names.
yeah.
But there's
Too many M's. I
that's
don't like it.
stop it.
Mm,
It's
Yeah.
hard.
But
I also like them because of their ties to the Forsworn. Like I really enjoy the
Yeah.
Forsworn and their kind of European tribal kind of dealio they got going on.
Yeah,
Like
there's a
very
couple
Celtic.
very Celtic, but I think there's also a couple of Aztec influences as well with and like
Or like the sacrifice and stuff
the
that they
sacrifice
go.
and their swords as well with the stick with like it's basically a stick with
Yeah,
like bits sticking out of it, which is a lot of Aztec weapons did that. I quite like it.
yeah,
It's a mix of all of them. I really like that.
what I also like about the Hagravens is that we know that they're basically of human intelligence. We know that they can like
Mhm.
communicate with other people. They're not just random beasts or monsters. Like these things are able to form networks of just like either themselves or other people, like with the Forsworn. I think that's also something to take into account of them being like dangerous, because like actual mythological witches, you know, they probably like they work behind the scenes trying to put things into method.
yeah,
Overall, I think they're really cool. It's a rework on the stereotypical historical witch in a world where witches are normal, and I quite like
yeah,
that. So it also I like having European like sort of European literature influences. So you sort of like dragons and like I said with the witches with Macbeth. It's something that you can recognize, but it's also different to be something else. If that
yeah,
makes sense. So it's a
Mhm.
really nice touch. It's why one of the reasons I like Oblivion's world so much. Very recognizable, but so much is different.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
I think they have to be A tier.
I agree.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'd almost argue S tier, but do think probably A tier at least.
Yeah, as I say, I think they don't appear enough for them to be S tier, in my opinion. I don't want them too much, but I like where they are, like how they're quite
Yeah.
rare. At the same time,
But
like
in
you
that
can go through a
sense,
whole playthrough and not really speak to them. Fine with that.
because there's like not that many, it does make each one kind of very memorable.
Yes, actually, I agree with you on that.
Like you can think of the location where you found them.
And
On
of
like
course, there's the one mission where you accidentally marry one.
Yeah.
What a mission that is. So yeah, should we go B or A? So A or S? Sorry. What are we thinking?
You know what? I'll have to say S as well then after you bringing that up.
Yeah, fair enough. So we got Hag Ravens. I did not expect that. I actually
Yeah.
did not expect that one to be there. But fair enough. I don't mind.
Right. So
Uh,
now we got
oh,
them,
the Droga.
the jerky men of the Nordic
I,
catacombs.
even though they're very different from Morrowind to Skyrim, I love both. I think it's
Yeah.
instead of just having normal zombies, having Droga in Skyrim works so well, and in Morrowind, I think they're really scary in Morrowind. They sprint
There.
at you with glowing red eyes, and there's that one you can talk to as well, and it's
Yeah.
creepy.
Like they're so interesting in Skyrim because you don't get to talk to any of them in Skyrim. We don't know if they're like
Mm.
able to think or anything at all, really. Like as far as we know, they are just mindless defenders.
At the same time, they're not
Um,
doing anything wrong. They're just defending their
yeah.
tomb. We're the ones breaking into their resting place. They just
Yeah.
want to die peacefully, you know.
When you look at it as well, like the dragon priests are like, in a way a form of Draugr. They're
Yeah.
like the ultimate form of Draugr, even above like Death Lords and all these like other high ranking Draugr. But we know the dragon priests are perfectly capable of like rational thought. They're just all assholes.
Also,
Um,
True.
when a Draugr Death Lord shouts at you, like,
yeah,
"Oh, no one alive can really speak the tongues, but dead maybe," you know.
yeah,
You see, under
because
Skyrim law, they all work under castle doctrine, so they're well within their
yeah,
rights.
well within their rights, of course. I'm almost certain that is a thing in Skyrim. You're probably allowed to kill any trespassers.
In
Like that just seems
Skyrim,
perfectly reasonable
they'll
for
make,
Skyrim.
they'll make up any excuse to be able to kill someone.
Yeah,
It's land of barbarians, basically. You can just kill someone in the street. You know,
yeah.
as a
Um,
whole, I love them.
I really like them as well.
I
They're
don't
very
think there's.
versatile as well. I'll say because you can't just give it a sword, but you can also give it magic,
Yeah,
bows.
I think their art style for their weapons is just beautiful.
yeah. Ancient Nordic weapons and armor look amazing. Like you can probably tell from the like chosen icon that I have in our little like trifecta of helmets. We got the Dawnguard helmet,
Yeah.
we have the Ordinator helmet, and my pick for that was the ancient Nordic helm.
Yes, I think they're
Mm.
gorgeous.
They do.
Almost everything about them. So I'm willing to, I think that I love them, but at the same time, in Skyrim they just replaced the zombies.
Yeah.
Because
True.
in Morrowind you have zombies and Draugr, and they change art styles, so they're a bit inconsistent. But I still love them, so I'm willing to say around B tier for them. I think.
Same. Like they're definitely a memorable enemy, but because of how many tombs and other stuff there is in Skyrim, I
Too
feel like
many
you
of
see
them.
them
Yeah.
too
Too
much. Like
too
they
many
lose
of
their
them.
luster and they start
And
becoming more of a nuisance of okay, I have to kill all the Draugr again in here,
I think
sort of
we
thing.
can all agree that when you're starting a new playthrough and you go, "Oh, I've got to do Bleak Falls Barrow again." Oh
Yeah.
my word! You have to get it out of the way, and a lot of the smaller ones are quite easy to kill. Like, obviously, Restless Draugr are fun at the start, then they start getting easy to kill. Then later game, everything in the tomb is just Death Lords, and it's just like ah.
Yeah.
But
But
overall,
like
they're really cool.
at least with like bandit enemies, they'll be swearing at you while they're fighting.
Yeah.
With Draugr, the most you're gonna get is a growl.
You get like,
Well, in fairness, they either just growl at you or they like shout an ancient Thum word at you and disarm you and then eat you.
yeah,
So they're pretty spooky in that sense. I think probably B tier is where they'd sit for
yeah.
me.
There's too
Yeah,
many of them, but they're
I'd
great.
say B as well.
They're a great like staple enemy.
So the
It's like a
Drogo.
potato, like they're
Yeah,
good in any meal, but they're not like the highlight of the meal.
you're not going to eat chips, mash, and roast potatoes, you know.
Yeah, you're gonna have one of the above. Or maybe
Yeah,
maybe you have your roast potato as well as your
yeah,
mash, but
got that balance.
you're not gonna have chips as well. It's too much. The
Right, next.
perfect analogy. We've discovered it.
Okay, next I'm going to sort of not group them together, but talk about both at the same time. Vampires and werewolves.
Yeah, they both are very similar because they're both just blessed by
And
well,
whenever you do a mission
blessed or
for one, they
cursed by
usually encounter the other.
yeah,
You know,
Mm.
yeah,
vampires have always been cool in my opinion in every game. I think
yeah,
Oh yeah,
Dawnguard. In my honest opinion, Dawn Guard should have been the main quest for Skyrim.
It would have been more interesting, I think.
Like,
would have
Yeah.
been pretty good.
dragons were cool, but Alduin wasn't a very fun bad guy. And like,
Yeah.
the plot literally was just go to Valhalla, kill a dragon. That was
Yep.
it. Sorry if you've not played Skyrim yet, but spoilers for an 11-year-old game now.
Spoiled such
Like,
riveting dialogue.
I did like going to Sovngarde. Sovngarde is a really cool location, but it's at the same
It's
time
just Valhalla.
it's just Valhalla. But like even then, that'll be a cool. It's a cool place to go. But
It's
yeah,
got-
yeah.
The final fight is just you stood
Forgotten
still
Vale.
slicing at Alduin. He
Going
goes
to
up,
the
you
Forgotten
shout him
Vale
back
is
down.
class.
He's like, yes, the Forgotten Vale. Oh, gorgeous. And
And
you
of
get to meet
course,
him for the first time. It's
yeah.
all the- and it's all to do with the vampires. You can join the vampires or go against them. All the different outfits for the vampires are fantastic. You like the vampire dogs. Everything
Yeah.
about them is just mwah, fantastic.
Chef's kiss.
I even did the hand gesture then as well. Like,
Yeah.
mwah.
Werewolves, on the other hand, I think they're still really awesome.
I love
Um,
them.
and,
And yeah, I
can
just love them.
we group in werebears as well here?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, like other were creatures, because
It's like
all of
Proxy.
them are the same thing, really. They all come from scene.
Where bad.
Yeah.
Were bandit. They just turn into a
every full
bandit.
moon you get less better gear and crap. You go, never should have come here.
An insatiable urge to rob.
What, you mean you become a Khajiit? Oops, sorry.
No, that's
No.
racist. You
Oh.
can't say that.
It's okay. It's a video game. It's not good.
Meow.
Oh, no. Cat lives
You're
matter.
gonna upset a
But
lot of
that's it.
furries.
Khajiits are just were bandits. That's my thing now. I stand by this.
Yeah, they're not always stealing, just on a full.
They're not always bothering, but most of the time they are.
When you got 2 moons, that's like twice as many full moons.
Oh.
So
Anyway, back to the werewolves.
yeah, like all the were creatures are cool. Like werebears are class. Sad you can't become them. In Skyrim anyway. Were-boars are a thing in Daggerfall. Yeah, Daggerfall you got were-boars. Werewolves, of course, are very cool. Like they're powerful.
Obviously, the main quest in Solstheim in Morrowind is very involved with werewolves.
Yeah,
In fact, they're the enemies, and they are some of the toughest enemies in the game.
yeah.
Like,
They're
level
another
7.
thing where you need to have at least silvered weapons to fight them.
Yeah.
One thing I
definitely be
wish
a scary enemy as well.
they can.
Sunder was struggling against these werewolves.
I wish in Skyrim you did have to use like more silvered weapons and stuff, because there was the Silver Hand, who I think was it Fudge Muppet did a whole video about how they could just be an offshoot of the companions who didn't want to become werewolves. But they use silvered weapons because their whole thing is fighting werewolves.
Yes.
Which really brings into question how much of a benevolent force the companions are. But yeah, like they're they're really fun. I like them. I always make it a point to become
find out
a
they are
werewolf.
werewolves. For me,
Yeah.
I had no idea that was coming, and
Yeah.
I'm just stood there in the cage, and is it Farkas or Tulkas, whatever his name? Something.
Farkas, I think.
Farkas, that's it.
Ungus Bungus, whatever his name is.
Viking
All
werewolf
Nords are the same to me.
turns into a werewolf, and I'm going, oh my god! And my uncle was sat next to me, knowing exactly what was going to happen. Going, yep. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. I loved it. And then the fact that you could become one, and the ritual where your blood goes in the... Oh, I think it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
You go on the rampage.
For me, I have to say, vampires would be an S tier, but werewolves would probably be a B tier. Just because they're not... Even though they're massively used in Morrowind and Skyrim and stuff, but they're not a recurring force as much as the other vampires are, and... For me, the werewolves were really annoying in Morrowind. And in Skyrim, I didn't really use it very much. Like, because when you become a werewolf, everyone just attacks you and stuff. There's no alternate powers other than you get different coloured eyes.
Well,
And-
it's useful to become a werewolf to murder somebody because it's a built-in disguise.
Oh,
It
yeah.
doesn't feel like there's much you could also do with werewolf villains as opposed to a vampire villain.
Yeah, they're not
It's just like-
scheming.
Yeah, they're not very. Yeah,
And even in the companions, you don't actually use your werewolf form very much whilst with the companions, because for me, I'm there for Iskrabor's axe, and I've got that axe,
Yeah.
I'm just cleaving through things. Like when I become a werewolf, I get less powerful with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine if you could be a werewolf with Iskrabor's axe. Oh,
That'd be pretty cool.
that would be cool. Have like specific like transformation weapons that you could equip.
Yeah, like giant ass hammers and stuff. Maybe like certain werewolf armors, something like that.
yeah.
I mean, if
Overall,
you
love
can make
vampires,
armor for a
love werewolves.
troll, why not a werewolf?
Were-troll.
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
I just wish it was more of a class than
Yeah.
a ability. Like actually being able to use it properly and have different level ups for it.
Yeah.
A bit
So I
like
think I'll agree with you. S and B tier, respectively, for
yeah, so
vampires and werewolves.
S for vampires, B for werewolves.
Yeah. Actually,
Thank
going on from your were bandits, we have bandits next on the list.
Yes, the greatest enemies. You come across them, you kill every one of them in one hit, no matter
Yep,
what
of course.
level you are.
Of course,
Please
in Skyrim, we have the Nordic bandits. You never should have come here. All that fun stuff. They're pretty basic, but they're fun to fight. They're all right. You
it's
got
all like,
Oblivion.
Oblivion, they're a bit more annoying.
They're a bit more annoying. There's bandits wearing armor, stealing stuff off you.
Like the bandit that robs you, and then if you rob him, he goes, "Take it. I didn't want it anyway."
Yeah, it's more of the principle of the thing, I think.
And you have Morrowind, which is just the native population. Everyone's basically bandits.
Yeah.
They're just you're foreign. Immediately proceeds to rob you. What a game!
You're not from. It's like going to Turkey.
I swear I'm not racist. I just play Morrowind. But you have to be racist.
Just racial
It's
persecution.
It's like 50% of the game. You spend half the game getting yelled at for being a foreigner, and then the second half you become their messiah. So it's like, what's going on here?
Make
Bad
up your
guys also
mind.
we'll drive out the mongrel dogs of the Empire. Bloody hell. I think I understand why Bethesda's not been remaking it.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be a
Wouldn't
bit
go down well,
divisive.
would it?
It's kind of. I think most of just Tamriel's problems is racially motivated.
Yeah,
Not too very different from our own world sometimes, Look at half the wars in the past. Oh, I'm fighting him. Why? He's French. Like what?
perfectly understandable.
There's the Irish guy, yeah. Well, I
I'm
don't
just
like him.
kidding.
Why?
We've got-
I'm Catholic. So
But yeah,
anyway,
bandits.
bandits. I think
Bandits.
I can C or D tier. They're just there.
They're there. They're
You
fun.
can't get away from them. They're fun to
You
fight.
can't
but
have a
only
game
get-
without them. But they're
Yeah.
never that special.
You never
You
won
know
more
what,
than
yeah.
100 gold taken out of camp.
I think they're C. They're
I think
like
it's-
perfectly average.
Yeah.
A solid C, yeah.
I'd miss them if they weren't there.
The bog standard for what everything else should be rated against
Yeah.
honestly.
So
Next we have I think we have a certified S tier. Scribs from Morrowind.
yeah,
The
love them.
cutest bug creatures I've ever seen.
They're
thumping
so
the ground.
cute.
And if you try to
They're-
attack, they demolish you.
Yeah, they paralyze you and just kill you. They're the larval form of llama.
Gorgeous though. I love
They're
them.
little cute little mouth, and it goes like
I want a pet scrib.
I want a pet scrib too.
Gorgeous. S tier. I'm sorry. I don't care
S
what
tier.
you guys
No
say.
argument. Yeah, no, straight to S. Put it in there.
Scribs. I love them. Because every level 1 is trying to attack one thing. Oh, it's a creature. It must want to attack me. It doesn't. It just wants to sit and eat leaves,
Yeah, it just wants to explore and live its best life.
If you attack it, you get killed. Just leave him alone.
I think when you like put them together with all like Quoma enemies, they're definitely interesting. A lot, especially with the lore, basically of how a lot of Morrowind is basically based on these things to run the economy.
Yeah,
Yes,
like
the
stealing an egg is punishable by death.
Exactly.
You guys like brass? I like brass.
Right.
Dwemer bots, guys.
Oh, I love Brad.
Brass is
They're
pretty cool.
anything Dwemer. Even little ones, the little spiders, the
Little spiders with their
Centurions.
puffy sacks on the
Oh,
top. I love the design in Morrowind. They got the little like fleshy puff sack on top of them. You don't get that in later games. They're completely mechanical.
I think
But
even in Skyrim, everything looks gorgeous. Like the Dwemer
yeah,
architecture in every game has looked gorgeous.
yeah. No,
Just that
saying
nice
that.
gold sheen.
Yeah, like a nice bronzy shimmer to everything, and it's all perfectly preserved.
And what I love about them is that when you meet them, you immediately get reminded of the people that once were.
Yeah,
It's like,
Mm.
imagine how much of a threat these guys would have been if they had
yeah,
this. They had to take armies to take them down, you know. And I think it's a chilling reminder that everything that's left is the bits that aren't alive. And some of these
yep,
factories were made to just keep going and going, and even some of the ones in Skyrim are still working because no
yep.
one's turned them off.
We're all playing Lord of the Rings. Those guys were playing Cyberpunk.
They were. Like, look at like Jaeger and Bagarn. He's walking around on like cybernetic Dwemer legs
Yeah.
with these little like steampunk pipe coming off it. Like they have the steampunk aesthetic down.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I think it's hard to argue that they'd go anywhere but A tier for me.
I love them. They're chilling. Only regret is in Skyrim and Morrowind. Sometimes the drummer dungeons are a bit long and you get bored of them.
They can be
True, but
very
they're definitely
samey because they're
memorable.
so industrial.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
I'd,
agree.
I'd agree. Hey,
Yeah. Very fun enemies. Too much.
All right.
Next
So,
we have this is at least an E for me.
E
Anything
really?
Daedric, all the like the clan fears, the Daedra in Oblivion. They are the worst enemies to fight. I cannot stand them. Hate them. It's
I completely disagree.
they're just. I can't stand them. Oblivion's combat's bad enough,
I
and then
love
you have to fight these
scamps.
lot.
I love my scamps. I love my Daedroths. I love my clan fears. Love them all. They're all beautiful little monsters. You got your winged twilights. They're pretty cute, but we're talking about them later, I suppose, separately.
We can talk about them now. I do
Yeah.
like Winged Twilights, but they're like more like they're they're sort of Azora's one. in a
Yeah, I
sense.
think we're mainly looking at like Mirren's Dagon's kind of
Yeah,
entourage here.
and they're just so annoying to fight, especially early game. Because the thing is with Oblivion, isn't it like when you reach after level 11, everything gets harder anyway? Because of the
Yeah,
scaling
like
of the
level
game.
21, I think.
Oh, yeah. So like fighting them. So like for me, Kvatch, I get really confused when to actually do Kvatch. 'Cause if I do it at the start, I get destroyed because I'm too low level. If
Yeah,
I level up a bit, I'll do it. But if I've leveled up too much, they'll then get harder. And it's just like, please, I hate you. I just want to go through Kvatch. I don't want to fight you. You killed all the guards.
yep. Even then, I still like appreciate them as being like brutal demons if they are a bit dumb.
Yeah.
Like the Dremora have like interesting lore behind
well,
them and like how
I
they
enjoy the ride.
yeah. And like they are all like
We could just have
mockeries of
normal.
stuff from Nern.
We could just have like normal human-ish demons because we have like some spider, obviously flying ones. There's a lot
Yeah.
that has been done cool aesthetically.
Yeah.
They are cool. I hate them. That's my thing. I cannot stand them. They look cool. Yeah. Actually fighting it. Right. Okay. Here's a question, Kieran. Oblivion Towers. Do you actually bother killing the enemies or just run up?
Okay. Yeah, I don't fight anyone a
Yeah,
lot of
there
the
you go. You
time.
don't fight them because they're so annoying. You may as well just run to the end, pick the orb, and leave. Oblivion Towers are the most tedious part of the game.
Okay, I'll agree with you there. But I can't put them anywhere lower than D.
So are you thinking D then?
D, yeah, I'm fine with D.
Okay.
They are cool. They look gorgeous. But from a gameplay aspect, I just can't. They're so annoying.
Yeah. Right. So, giants.
I love giants. They're so cool. Look, the way they
Yeah,
just
they
walk around and
Big
they
boys.
give you a little nod like "Hello, traveler." And if you get too close, they'll kick you away. I love them.
launch you into orbit.
It's like I
Like
said
trolls.
before.
I love watching these guys. I love watching them fight dragons because they'll literally start
Yeah.
swinging their bat around like "Get away, you pest!" You know?
No, it
What
might
you
be
gonna say?
a Nord lore, but definitely the giants are the biggest proponents of the castle doctrine, as we see.
Yep. Yeah, entirely. Like they also have the cool like, I think them more than others because they have the whole herding thing. They're very in touch with the Celtic inspirations that were kind of lost for the Nords in Skyrim. I feel like they gained a bit of it.
Or aren't they just based off Scandinavian giant myth?
Yeah, they are, but as well as that, if you Celtic tradition and lore, like you'd have your little hill fort, and the entirety of everything was based around herding animals, so like cattle and stuff. And what do giants do? They herd cattle and goats and mammoths.
You pretty much described pre 8,000 BC humans across the world there.
Yes, I have.
It's
But they also have like the blue skin paint.
Mesopotamian, it's everything.
Yeah, but like blue skin paint, all that kind of thing. Like swirly designs on rocks. The Celts had that down.
I will give you that. Celts love their swirls on rocks. But at the same
They
time,
did love their blue
same time,
swirly
so did
things.
the Nordics. So did the Proto-Vikings.
I mean, same difference in a lot of ways, you know.
They're pretty much the same people, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
overall,
Um,
giants, they're cool.
there are different
Regardless-
variants of them as well. Like you've got a Karstag, he's a frost giant.
Oh yeah.
And they have like more eyes because I don't know, seeing the cold better.
Well, it's weird because the thing with Karstag and the Frost Giants, there seems to be like a weird connection between them and the trolls. Oddly, just because like they have multiple eyes.
Yeah, maybe. I suppose we could look into that at some point.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But the Skyrim giants, they're just, I love them. They just walk, they walk around. They won't touch you if you don't touch them. It's like going down the street in England, you know.
I think we all remember that. At least in one playthrough, just finding that guy with the cow, trying to bring it to the giants to try and like
Yeah.
appease them. He's just drawn a bunch of circles on it,
Yeah.
which actually
Yeah.
was a piece of Michael Kirkbride lore that he wrote in Morrowind, which was
Oh,
then
nice.
canonized in Skyrim. Little fun fact there.
I miss Kirkbride.
Yeah. They giants were terrifying. I don't know if you ever fought any giants in Daggerfall. But they
I
hit
have,
really hard. Surprisingly. I have died many a time to them in dungeons. Which I have no clue how they got in. The doors are tiny. But yeah, they're definitely a hard enemy.
They built the walls
Actually, I
around
have fought
themselves.
giants in them. I have fought giants down because I remember I had to do a quest where I had to go and like pick an item from a dungeon that a giant had, and I killed the
Yeah.
giant. And then I got a notification saying because of the fighting, 2 more giants have entered the dungeon.
Yeah.
I just ended up crapping myself because I had to run off. I had to try and escape before these giants tracked me down. But overall, and in pretty much every game, they look cool. And
Yeah.
I think in Skyrim it makes them better. It's one of the few instances of an enemy that wasn't changed back for the worse. In Skyrim it actually made them cooler. And the whole
Yeah.
herding mammoths, and I love seeing mammoths and like something hits a mammoth, even if it just brushes it. Giant comes over, launches it 100 feet in the air.
Yep.
And it's also made some of the best meme videos I've seen on YouTube from Elder Scrolls.
They're just
People
like
get bored.
farmers in real life. Like
Yeah.
few.
Average trip in Ireland, you know.
Yeah.
Get off my farm, you know.
They blow you away into orbit.
Instead of a club, it's a double-barreled shotgun.
Yep.
But yeah, I'd say
Accurate.
solid A tier.
Solid A, yeah.
Okay.
I'd almost
Um,
say S, but I feel like there's not enough variety in them that we're shown. Like you see one
yeah.
giant with a club, you kind of seen them all. You know what to
Yeah.
expect. Like it'd
And
be
every
cool if we
time
could get like
there's
some with maybe like slings that are just giant boulders
Or,
that they like
or a
throw with it. That would be
bow.
cool.
or maybe one quest or a giant trying to talk to you. But obviously, you can't talk properly, but you're trying to like communicate something with you to give you a quest. Or like,
Yeah.
or maybe it's just maybe do some like sort of Dark Souls storytelling where he's sat there, he's like looking where his mammoth once sat, and he's crying about it. And like you could like, hey, are you okay? They'd be like, you want me to go get your mammoth back? Yeah. Like I
And
mean that would be
then you
really
got a whole
cool.
mammoth herding mission. That'd be brilliant.
Yeah, and you gotta like have like bear meat to track. Like
Yeah.
come on, get this big juicy bit of meat. Like that mission in The Witcher 3 where you got to herd the goat to attract the bear. No, you got to find the goat, but it turns out it's being attacked by a bear. That's it.
You got to get a nice, tasty bit of grass or something or like a carrot on a stick, and you can ride the
Yeah.
mammoth back.
Oh, even if it's on rails, just being on the back of a mammoth with a bow and arrow.
Yeah, like we can say
That'd
that
be
because we
awesome.
got to ride a dragon in Skyrim like very
Yeah.
briefly, and even though that was on rails, it's still cool.
Yeah, true. That would have been awesome.
That's one thing I
Yeah.
do wish Skyrim did more of: mounted combat.
Yeah,
The
Mm.
actual horses in Skyrim mounted combat. There's no point in doing it. If they actually make
yeah,
that better for the next game, I can't wait to just stop ride along slicing things. Anyway,
I feel
solid
like they
B,
will.
solid A tier for Giants. Love them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Next we have, I like this next one. Falmer, what used to be the Snow Elves.
Mm.
And most people
Yep.
don't even know that a lot of the time. You gotta like go read some of the books and stuff in the game to find out, but when you do,
Yeah,
it's like,
or play the DLC.
oh, the DLC, but not everyone had the DLC
Yep.
at the start, I was a OG pre-special edition kid. I didn't have Dawnguard, I couldn't afford it. What a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're such an interesting thing because they're one of the other things that the Dwemer left behind a lot of the time. A lot of Dwemer ruins have Falmer wandering around them. Like they've completely degenerated to the point where they're blind. They farm disgusting insects. What are they called again?
Horus.
Horus, yeah. Gross. I hate them. They're scuttly and oh, they're terrible. They're like centipedes.
What gets me the most about them though is that it's just sad to see. It's
Yeah,
heartbreaking to see what's happened to this once great race.
yeah. They're of course integral to the Thieves Guild questline in Skyrim. You got the Eye
Yes.
of Palmer,
Oh
True.
yeah.
which
Yeah,
they
I
must
like
have
them as just
carved before they devolved.
the weird, creepy golem people just
Yeah.
living around in caves.
Golem people.
Yeah,
Um,
what would you describe them as looking at?
They look exactly like that. What's that film? Is it The Descent or is it The Cave?
The
I can't
Descent,
remember.
yeah.
The Descent.
yeah,
Basically just Falmer. It's before it, obviously, but very good
Yeah.
film, horror film if you've not seen it.
it is good. I've seen.
Basically full
It
of
is.
Falmer creatures. They even look the same as well.
They do.
They're also blind and have echo looking. Oh my god, they're just
Yeah.
Falmer. Oh no.
One thing I have to
Uh-oh,
say though,
Todd.
we have to take into account the snow elf, which in some ways is a little bit lacking because we only know it from the point of view. But like getting to go into the Forgotten Vale
Yes.
and seeing all their structures, which are very very similar to Ayleid construction.
Yes.
Maybe we can draw some parallels there. Maybe there was something to do with that. Maybe they were from an Ayleid colony who stayed just worshipping Oriel. There's a lot of like implications there in lore, and I think they couldn't be anywhere lower than a B for me. Like even though they're probably higher,
I want to see more with them in the next game.
yeah.
See more about them.
Which will be hard when we're in a desert or like High Rock.
Well, if we're in
I
High
mean-
Rock, we could get them because if we get Dwemer
Yeah.
stuff there, we could get Falmer, maybe some
I
remnants.
suppose, yeah, maybe.
I
I'd
mean,
like
we'll
to
still
meet
have
more.
the other side of the Reach. So I'd
That's
definitely
true.
say there's
That's true.
possibly
Yeah,
for
the
just
entire other side
days.
of the reach is there. Because it's not like they just stopped living at a certain point because it was the border to High Rock, because that's like a completely like arbitrary line.
And we don't know for certain how far the caves go. They could even go
No.
like all the way into High Rock.
Well, we know that they were slaves with the Dwemer, and the Dwemer had all that area, so they could have
Yeah.
brought the slaves with them. You know, you can't build it on your own. Well, they could, but they couldn't be asked because they were higher beings at that point and saw it as lesser to build it yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'd say B. Love them. It's tragic. Want to see more of them. Will you agree?
You know what? It's really depressing to think of a snow elf in Hammerfell. That must be the worst.
Oh,
So hot.
it's hot. It's hot. Get me out of here.
They must burn so easy. Their skin looks like paper. It's like printer
Poor-
paper.
This
Poor
joke
little
was made by
sweaty
the
boys.
Chad Dunmer gang. Imagine not being able to survive in hot temperatures.
Yeah.
Noir.
Okay, so yeah, B tier.
B.
Happy with
Solid
that.
B.
So Blake, I
No,
think this
no.
one affects you
Oh.
as much as it does anyone who played Morrowind.
Bone walkers.
Ugh.
You go into
Hate
a
'em.
dungeon. It hits you. You kill it. Why has my carry weight gone down? You look at your stats. Your strength and endurance are now at 0. Me a couple of years ago, first started playing, had no idea why. I said, oh, it must have been something I did. It must regenerate back. Wait 24 hours. Does not regenerate back. Have no restore potions on me. That was
Yep.
my first experience with a Bone Walker. I had to go online to figure out what had happened. Yep, it was a Bone Walker, mate. Oh,
Then you gotta spend a bunch of money on potions to get it all back.
only way to get around them is if you're ranged or you kill it first.
Yeah,
know,
that's why my most recent playthrough I'm doing. I have like a fireball spell that just disintegrates everything.
Yeah.
I don't wanna be touched.
I honestly do find it kind of cool, honestly, that they can do that because it harkens back to like old Dungeons and Dragons, where like undead could just sap your abilities and like
Yeah.
reduce your actual levels. And I thought that was like that makes them a serious like threat that you don't want to fight them. And I think that's kind of it's not in a tedious way as like Daedra, but it's more in a scary way of oh shit, I don't want to fight these.
Yeah.
And just
To be fair, I have to agree with you on that because it comes back to what I was saying earlier with in Morrowind. It's like you have to fight things in different ways. Like you need a silver weapon to fight a ghost, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like it comes with the same belt of you have to be prepared. If you go into a tomb, you might have to fight a bone walker. So bring restore potion. You learn from it. You get better, and by the time you face them later on, you know what to do. But at the same time, that first time meeting them for every player and on every playthrough, your first time fighting one. Oh my word. And what's worse is the Andrano ancestral skull is, if I remember correctly, in the room with the Bone Walker.
Yeah, very hard to run past him.
Yeah. So I completely agree with you, Mason. It's fantastic in that sense, but when you first meet them, it is such a pain. And if they do affect you, it's either load up a previous save or drop all your gear, get all your stats back, and come back to the cave to pick it all up. It is a
And then you
pain.
meet a second Bone Walker and have to do it all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
It's alright if
they're
you have like mysticism, we like mark and recall, but
yeah, or like just an Civi intervention amulet or something.
yeah.
true.
But it's
Yeah.
awful.
I think because they're like interesting, even though they're difficult, they're not necessarily bad. I think I put them in C tier with the old
They are not.
banditos.
I think C will be fine because
Mm.
they are great at what they do, but they are so scary.
Yeah.
Every
Of
moment,
course,
no
just
matter what
because
level you
something's
are, you
scary.
will look at one in fear. And the worst thing is when you're fighting a mage and they summon one, and you
Yeah.
just go, "Oh, you absolutely."
The thing is, just because something's scary doesn't make it bad, but the fact that they're just so unpleasant to fight, like they really just ruin your day. But I still wouldn't have had the game without them at the same time. So I think that's why they should
It's
sit in
part
C.
of the Morrowind experience.
Yeah. Dregs.
Drakes.
They're like crab people on steroids.
Their
at
history is really good.
Yeah, at one point in a previous Kalpa or world cycle, they literally ruled the world with Molag Bal as their king, which
Tastes
is
like
just
crab.
cool. taste
Talk
like
like
crab,
people.
talk like plumple. They led to some really cool things. We talked about the Ruddy Man before already.
Mm.
Um,
That's another thing. We can't go on podcast without saying dregs.
yeah, dregs.
They
There's
follow us.
land dregs. They come onto land to lay their eggs, like some certain species of crab. They lay their eggs and then they get really aggressive, and then go back to the ocean. They're pretty harmless in the grand scheme of things. Like at worst, they'll like steal from a fisherman's net or something like that. Like they haven't
But
been known
I'm
to
trying to
cause
get.
great
But
trouble.
I'm trying to get to Urshilaku tribe the quick way by going on the sea. And one of them grabs me from underneath and starts hitting me. And I'm also fighting slaughterfish.
Yeah,
It's like, oh. But they look really cool and mysterious. And
they are
they
because
look
they're humanoid,
old.
but they're animalistic.
Yeah, they look so old. The way
They
they
do.
captured that was gorgeous. I want to see them again.
Like they
Yeah.
harken to this fallen civilization of people. They've been reduced to tribalism.
Yeah,
Even less than that.
So I really like them, but you don't really see much of them in the games.
True.
Like, they're there, but it's just a bit of a. Oh, it's just a drag. You go
Now, if
past.
there was more water-based things, say perhaps
Hint,
boat
hint, Elder
mechanics,
Scrolls 6.
oh my god,
Well,
yes.
imagine having to clear them off the bottom of your hull like barnacles.
Yes, that'd be so good. You could have a mission like I don't know if you guys have seen the new season of Love, Death, and Robots.
Was it out?
Oh, it's out, yeah. But
Oh, we can watch
there's one about a boat. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I think you'd like that one if you like Drakes. I feel like they could do something like that with them. So watch it. Anyone who's seen it will know what I'm talking about.
I'm
Let's
hoping
watch
there's
that.
more like water stuff in general, like water monsters.
Yeah, or
'Cause
like underwater
personally,
ruins.
I feel like it was sorely lacking in Fallout 4. For a place set in
But
Yeah.
at the same
Well, of
time,
course,
that-
DLC is part of these. Like they like a lot of the time, and they're not very in depth. There's not a lot of intrigue, which I really like. Far harder that it has. That
if
one
you're
with
listening to this
modern
closely,
graphics.
if you're listening to this closely, you might be able to hear them snap.
The bones are already powderized.
He's becoming a bone walker.
gelatin. Oh no!
Yeah.
That's
So
dregs.
yeah, dregs.
But yeah, dregs.
They're
I'd say
cool.
C or
C?
B.
I think B.
See,
C. We think it's C.
I think it's C
I think
because
C.
they've not got
There's
much to keep
not
them in.
enough of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the same with same sort of falling as the giants, where it's like when you've seen one, you've kind of seen them all.
Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
But the Giants also have the culture to keep them going a lot more, whereas Drake, you don't see much of them in the game. You have to know the lore to understand them. Next,
in
a gorgeous
mud
one.
crabs.
Mud crabs.
We all like them. We all like our mud crabs.
They're brilliant.
They
Every
probably
game, they're
taste
always there.
amazing.
I love them.
Can you imagine just getting a mud crab, throwing it on your campfire to cook? Can you imagine how good that would taste?
I'd probably boil it, but yeah.
No, I wouldn't boil it. No, I'd get rid of the flavor. You gotta fry it in its own
I
shell.
like
I
a
think it's big
char-grilled
enough to do
mud
that.
crab, please.
Yes.
Just stick it on one of those fire pit poles, and start turning it around.
Get it
cooking pots. Yeah.
get it with just after it molts, and you can eat it with the shell on.
Oh.
Soft shell mud crab.
Oh yeah, put them in a big massive sandwich.
Yeah, it wouldn't be an Ellis cooking without mud crabs. They're there. I know it's criminal rating these above everything else, but S tier for me.
Yeah, and
They're
some
just
of them are intelligent enough to
shameful.
barter.
Oh, the mud crab merchant.
Mocap merchant,
Thing is,
make a few trips to them.
I'm a creeper guy. I prefer.
I do a bit of both. I do a bit of both.
It's harder to get to the mud crab merchant.
Yeah.
You gotta go to quest to see him.
When you're trying to sell a glass halberd, it's definitely better to go to the mudcrab merchant. I'm just saying that.
Well,
Where
that's
are
what
we
I've got a
thinking?
scheme for creeper.
What's your scheme?
So you know the Daedric. So you know the sixth house amulets.
Yeah.
You end up getting so many. They're all worth $1,000 each one of them.
Mhm.
You end up getting so many. I ended up using them as a sort of cryptocurrency with Creeper. So that where I'd give them, and he'd always have the stuff you sold to him on stock. So if he didn't have enough money to pay for the thing I was giving him, what I'd do is I'd give him the thing, then the rest I'd take out of sixth house amulets, and on separate days I could come back and give back the amulets. So overall I'd get the money, but it was sort of like a bit of sixth
Kinda
house
like an
amulet
insurance.
currency. Yeah.
It's like
He
a
couldn't
pawn
fully
shop.
pay me back then, but he can in a couple days, you know. That was how I used to do it, but
That's like a really good idea.
I
Yeah.
accidentally invented a currency.
Learning like asset trading through Elder Scrolls.
You should get into stocks, Blake.
I don't think it'd be good because I did it accidentally. I didn't even mean to do it properly. I was like, oh, I'll just use these as a bit of a currency. Oh no, what have I done?
I've
yeah.
accidentally bought 50 shares of Microsoft.
Yeah, I'm buying shares into the sixth house.
Right, where are we thinking? Where are we thinking of putting the mud crabs?
I'm thinking
Apart from on the grill.
S plus.
S plus. Do you know
S
what?
plus.
I agree.
sure.
Move the scribs with them as well. Scribs and mud crabs. S plus.
Plus, we're putting them on the plus. Let's go. Scrib plus. You can subscribe to it for Kwama eggs.
You get we deliver you quab eggs in the month every.
Yep. Every month you get a choice selection of different varieties of.
Warning you, we are not liable if they are gone off or taste bad.
Yep. That's fine.
next-
Eggs last a while.
I think you'd be better on to talk about this one, Kieran, because I've not actually met them in Oblivion. Minotaurs.
That's so weird because they
Never
just like
encountered one.
you just run into them. Minotaurs are like really cool. Another like fantasy creature. They're descended of like Morahouse the Manbull and Elysia getting it on in the like first era.
So much Elder Scrolls is just sex law. It's weird.
Yeah, like
Sex and racism, the two core defining things of the Elder Scrolls.
yes.
For a PG series, it's like what?
Hang on a second.
I suppose Skyrim was a 15. You could behead people. It's fair.
Yeah.
Enough, fair enough.
Like Minotaurs are cool. They're a bit basic, but like the old, ancient lore of like the second emperor of the Elysian Empire was a Minotaur, I think.
Yeah, he was.
Which is like important. Like there have been some of the most important people, and
for a
when
long time, the emperors had like an honor guard of Minotaurs.
Yeah, and as well as that, there was like the Elysian Order when Maruk, the what's they called, the monkey boys, those monkey men.
Hmm.
What are they called again?
What are they called
Very
again?
Monkey Boys. Or is it a different one?
I'm googling.
Frantic typing. What are they?
Imga. That's
I
it.
forgot his name.
It's the Imga.
Yeah.
The like the monkey peoples. Well, they're like great apes. They created one of them. Maruk created the Elysian Order, which is like a monotheistic religion based around Elysia. And a lot of the enforcers for that were Minotaurs as well, as far as I'm aware.
I thought it was the Elysian Order that eventually like drove out the Minotaurs, wasn't it?
No, it might be. Hang on.
Because like when you see them in game or the Oblivion, they've been very
you know what? I
They're
think you're
very
right. I think I
fallen
might
from
have
grace.
remembered.
Like they've basically been driven out from all society, basically just called beasts, and like forced to live in like to recess to like tribalism,
I wish
and
the
that's why you
Khajiits
don't
did
see
that.
them a lot.
Oh, 1 second now.
Like you mostly find them within like the hilltops or like old ruins because they're essentially like they've got like embedded memories of guarding these places that were
You know
important to
what?
the
You're
Elysian
you're
Empire.
you're you're actually completely right. They were persecuted by the Elysian Order. I must have
Hmm.
misremembered that. Yeah, they were persecuted by the Elysian Order because it was anyone who wasn't human, which is really ironic because Imga, it's like a orangutan. Like they're not exactly the most human-like.
Yeah, no.
Um, so it's really ironic that they started persecuting them rather than just elves, because the Elysian Order were like genocidal against elves.
Hmm.
You think we're one of those professional lore channels? No,
Oh
we
no,
wing it.
we wing it and we Google
We go off
stuff.
like, I think I read this somewhere.
I feel like I might have heard at some point from somewhere. My source made it the fuck up.
We do 3 minutes of research before these videos.
We
Don't
literally
give us
do.
credit.
I got back.
Open the wiki.
Yeah, I got back from like doing the recycling. Got on and said, "What are we doing this podcast on today?" And then we started recording, and that's where we are now.
In fairness, I made a table. I made a table.
Team behind
Blake
the
made a
curtain.
table, and there was a list of a nice concise list of stuff to talk about. So we're doing okay. We're doing okay.
We definitely didn't do it 10 minutes before it came on.
Hush, they don't need to know that.
We definitely didn't spend an hour talking about Bethesda's showcase.
We're not just looking at a Google Doc.
We're not. No.
Yeah, we have Fudge Muppet has nothing on us.
Yeah.
Sorry, Fudge Muppet. I don't need to be like that. I love you.
Well, in fairness, Fudge Muppet are kind of like cream of. They're really professional. It's hard to beat them, isn't
we
it?
need to balance it out.
No, we're a little more on the meme side.
Yeah, we can't even do our openings, let alone do a lore video
Yeah.
properly.
Very true.
Yeah. We have like a
Right.
5-minute gap between everyone's introduction.
Anyway, Minotaurs.
Minotaurs, yeah.
Minotaurs. So where are we putting
Got
them? Where are we
horns.
putting?
I'm not
I'd
going to
say-
vote on this one because I don't really know them.
Okay.
They have cool lore, but like you don't see them often. You don't really talk to any either, and they're not. I don't remember them being ever essential to any quests.
Yeah.
So I have to put them kind of
E.
low, honestly.
I think E.
D.
D or E.
Well,
You
I
do
could
it
go
for
for
info?
E as well, honestly.
Yeah, we're not
You
got
wanna-
any E yet.
You want to be
'Cause
the
at least-
deciding vote there, Blake?
Put it in E.
E. Okay.
Because at least the Daedra were important to the story of Oblivion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Danger had something.
Right. So the various types of goblins. That's our. I think it's our
Goblins
last
and
point to talk about here.
It's our last one, but if anyone thinks of any others, we can.
We can
Maybe
continue.
Goblins. So as a whole, goblins in Oblivion, you have same with Minotaurs. It adds to the plot because it is a familiar fantasy trope, and especially how Oblivion is set in Cyrodiil, which is the cream of the crop fantasy land, which you need in at least one in every series, and I
Yeah.
like that. Now, goblins, it's just everyone loves a good goblin. You recognize them, you go, oh, tricksy little bastards, and you fight them. You
Yeah.
know, it's their fun.
They're using their
Personally,
little
well,
shards of metal.
What gets
On
them?
that
What makes
same
them better
point-
for me? Oh, yep. You go first.
They're a little disappointing just because you see like Elder Scrolls do all these like cool different things with like trolls or minotaurs having like cool lore. It's like when you get to the goblins, they're just goblins. Like
Well-
you could basically swap them out for any other like goblin type in like fantasy, and you wouldn't see much difference, honestly.
There is a theory.
I would have
about
loved to see them
breeding
do a little
goblins.
bit different.
There is a theory. I don't necessarily believe it, but there's a theory that they used to be the aliens, because you always find them in alien ruins.
Yeah, I don't believe that because there
I don't
were
think-
goblins before then.
Yeah. But at the same time, what makes the goblins differentiate for me is the Reiklings, their distant
Yeah.
cousins. Or at least I assume they're
They're-
the distant cousins, because in Skyrim they have the same animations as the goblins.
They're the same.
They're
In
the
Morrowind,
same thing.
I
They're just
love
frost
them.
goblins. they used to inhabit like mainland Skyrim as well. They were just the native goblins of Skyrim.
Yeah.
Of course, they were adapted to the cold and stuff.
I think for me, like, especially Morrowind as well, like, when I was first started playing Solstheim, I'd already done the main quest, so I was really kitted out. And I get there, and I actually had trouble fighting some things. The reason why was because it was like 20 Reiklings charging me down. Some of them were mounted on boarback with lances charging me down. I thought that
Yeah.
was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
funny as well.
That's fair.
So I think that's one of the only saving graces of goblin kind. Like they ride their bristlebacks into battle with lances. Like that's so cool, and that's
Yeah.
something unique done with the goblins, I suppose, in a way.
But the core goblins, it wasn't.
Core goblins is not great, but I think because of the Reiklings or Reiklings, however you want to pronounce it, they have to be high C to maybe B for me.
I was in lore, they are like normal goblins are known as like expert tamers and breeders of like
Yeah.
animals.
Do
Like
it,
they
do
were
you?
even known to have,
Yeah.
yeah, they were even known to like tame griffins.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
true.
a feat that no other race has been able to do. But like the thing is, you just don't see it in game.
Yeah, it's like we don't get to experience that they actually are able to do this kind of thing.
But the same thing as the Dreg.
Yeah,
It's all well and good saying it, but actually they don't actually show it.
yeah. I think because of the Reiklings, it puts them right just above average. So for me, B is where I put.
I'd have to say possibly C or B. I'm thinking maybe C, just because the goblin does drag
Yeah.
them down, but there's something necessary, like bandits. You
I
have
think
to have
maybe
goblins.
we could say a C plus.
C plus. I'm happy with that.
C plus.
Okay,
Goblin kind, yeah.
so
So we've not got any on the list. Is there any other
not getting the list.
monsters we could talk about?
How about harpies?
Harpies. Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Would we count the winged twilights among them?
No, they're Daedra. They're completely
Yeah,
different.
technically.
Two different, yeah.
species.
Yeah. Harpies are cool. They're like all female, technically sentient, ravenously hungry for meat, bird women hybrid things.
Sounds like the Aboriginal
They've been like there are people in lore who have like fallen in love with them and like, you know, eloped.
I think if I remember, they do need other races to
They do.
procreate. If I remember,
That's how they reproduce. Yeah.
once again, falling back to the two core pillars of Elder Scrolls lore.
Yep. Entirely.
But yeah, I also remember they were talked about a lot in I forget which book it is, but basically the like first explorations of Cyrodiil, like talk about them a lot.
Oh, like Topol the Pilot's like history thing.
Like it goes into, I think, talking to that like diplomacy between them and the first settlers.
Oh, they're
Back then it
different.
was-
Those are actually bird people. They're
Oh,
an
you're
extinct
right, you're
beast
right.
race. Yeah. Easy to get confused though, because they have similar vibe.
I'm not gonna lie, I've never really seen them before because only in Daggerfall and online.
Yeah.
Really. But
They're if you look up Harpy,
I
in
have looked.
Daggerfall-
I'm currently looking at the Elder Scrolls Legends card for it, and I'm just gonna say, give me 10 Blackbriar Meads. I could
10.
10 Blackbriar Meads. It would be a lot, but
I feel like we have
I mean, the Daggerfall one is
another
a
tier
little.
list incoming.
Yeah.
most fuckable Elder Scrolls creatures.
Like,
Parthenax at
Blake's
the top.
picks.
Blake's picks, yeah. Yeah. What a fun.
Top 10.
Yeah.
Oh, like that. Oh, have you seen that video? The Sonic Hotties one. Oh, that video is awful. Top 10 hottest Sonic character. Is absolutely. It looks like Chris Chan made it.
Brilliant. Right. I think we've been recording for like quite a while now. So if you guys are happy with our list after harpies, you want to wrap it up then? We still haven't given them a tier. Where are we putting harpies?
I've not really played
Uh,
anything with them in, so I can't really judge. But by looks, I'd say
This sort of
solid
just
C or D.
yeah, I'd say D.
D.
There's not much to go off of them with really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So that is our list of stuff exhausted plus one. We'll just give a quick run through of what we have. So we got S plus tier, the absolute creme de la creme
Ream
of
of crop.
yes, top players. Right. We got our scribs. We got our mud crabs.
The
Couldn't have an
cutest
Elder Scrolls
little
game without them.
creatures. Mwah.
Absolutely brilliant. S
True
tier.
Sigma enemies.
S, S tier, the Sigma tier. We got dragons, we got hag ravens, and we got vampires. I think all respectable picks.
Mm-hmm.
A
I'm
tier,
surprised
we've got
by
a absolutely.
I did not expect to get that high, but it's they're good.
Yeah.
Good.
A tier, we've got our trolls, our spriggans, our atranax, our elementals, our dwemer automata, our giants. That's our A tier filled out. B tier, we have the Slowed. We've got our ghosts of all forms, Draugr, werewolves, and the Falmer. C, we have the Banditos, Bone Walkers, Dregs, and actually C plus tier, Goblins. D is occupied by the Daedra that we fight in Oblivion mostly, the Dremora and such, and Harpies. E tier, we have the Minotaurs, inhabiting there on their own. Thank you everyone for listening through another stupid, terrible Scroll Soup Elder Scrolls podcast. Hopefully
If there's
next
any
time there won't be a 2-week gap between. What are you saying, Mason?
If there's any changes you would have made to the list, any other ones we might have missed enemy wise, be sure to let us know.
Yep. We do need to set up some like social media for that kind of.
We'll tell us how much you disagree with us or hate us. We'll set up a social media.
Send us death threats. You know. Please don't do that.
Please do it.
Actually, that would be pretty funny. But
send us Doom in the mail.
Doom. You read the letter, it just detonates. Skyrim Stormcloak letter bomb. God damn it. This is terrible. Anyway,
10 miles away from our house.
Yes. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us again. Hopefully next time there won't be a 2-week gap between episodes. We'll try to keep on top of them better. But thank you for joining in with our completely mental ravings. And we hope to see you again next time.
Bye.
So long.